Shay TV here with the amazing Serena Dykman, who is a director, producer, and a writer on the short film Babka. It's so good to have you in. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm good. I'm in Woods Hole for the Woods Hole Film Festival right now with Babka, which we screened a couple days ago.
Oh, amazing. I've not been to that film festival before. How is it?
Oh, it's so nice. People are amazing. They have packed audiences even, during the day, in the middle of a work week. So it's there's really a beautiful community around the film and the love for films and being able to meet the filmmakers and eating amazing lobster rolls.
Ooh, lobster rolls, my goodness. I was just in Maine not too long ago, and that is definitely one of my favorite entrees to indulge in.
It is the best.
Now I want to indulge in some babka after watching your short film. I've never had it before, but I would love to just learn why you decided to, take part and write this cute little short comedy on this beautiful sweet dessert.
So yeah, it's actually kind of a backward story in the way that it happened. I have a dog who's a service dog, not a guide dog, but a medical alert dog. And a few years ago, I was attached to direct a documentary series about people within the Hasidic ultra Orthodox community who are deciding to leave or who have left and are deciding to come back. So it kind of really rose my curiosity around the community, which I'm Jewish. I'm the descendant of three Holocaust survivors, but it's not a community that I'm particularly familiar with. And then fast forward to a couple years ago, I happened to be with my dog who literally looks like she walked straight out of a Disney movie. Like she's just like the cutest little dog. In South Williamsburg, which is the ultra Orthodox community in New York, in Brooklyn. And I noticed that people were looking at her with a lot of fear and would like cross the street to avoid being on the same sidewalk. And it surprised me. It's something that I just didn't know about the community. And I entered this bakery, which turned out is known to make the best babka in New York. And I was with my dog, and a few customers really backed away. And the Hasidic baker told me, "Oh, sorry about that. People in the community just aren't used to dogs." And so I walked out of the bakery eating the best babka in the world.
It was.
And
These were correct.
yeah, and I was like, what if a dog had to live here? And
Yeah.
what kind of dogs are kind of mandatory in the eyes of the world, right? Guide dogs, like those are the dogs that people know have a calling or have a use or a necessity. And so it led me down a research, like an incredible path where I connected with people in the guide dog community, like guide dog schools, uh, and also discovered this. I got to speak to people who are people of faith, of different faith, but including Orthodox, who are blind or low vision, and who have, come with this. Question of whether or not to get a dog in a community that is not used to having them and how that process goes. So I've been very lucky to really speak to dozens and dozens of people who were very, very open and honest about their experiences, and who consulted on the script and really helped me shape it and make it as authentic as possible and based on life experiences. And so yeah, it's led to a lot of discovery, a lot of friendships, and a lot of questions around the intersection between faith and disability, which is something I had never really thought about and that I think should definitely be more explored in media.
Yeah, so Bear is our main kind of character. Why did you decide to choose a German Shepherd? Was it for a more intimidating kind of factor?
Yeah, so it's multiple reasons. It's German Shepherds are historically guide dogs. So it's a lot of labs and a lot of German Shepherds. Much more labs nowadays. It used to be a lot more German Shepherds in the past. But they're still one of the like main breeds that are used. And then German Shepherds have a big connotation with the Holocaust because they were the dogs used by the Nazis to attack Jews. My own grandmother, who was in Auschwitz, was attacked by a German Shepherd. And it's really this inherited drama of, inherited PTSD where, like, I see within even my own family, we're all dog people. We love dogs. We see a German Shepherd, there's fear.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a double trigger. And so I thought it was important to be able to really add that.
Yeah,
Um,
you hear one of the characters actually, Sarah Schwartz, has that moment, right, where she's mentioning kind of the whole aesthetic between Jews and Germans and that whole scenario. So I love how you kind of intertwine and weave that into the story. So everything you've learned, each of those characters have kind of taken on those different dynamics. Even at the start, I love Moish and Esther's whole kind of just compatibility with each other on screen. It's so lovely. And I
Thank
honestly didn't know that he was blind at the start, which is great. You know, he's getting all these orders in for vodka, and I'm like, oh, whoa, this chocolate vodka, this is great. He's getting so many orders. What's this going to be about? He's going to be baking, and then you throw a curveball, and Jesus pops up, and I'm like, wait, who's this guy?
you. Right?
Who's Jesus? And then the whole intimidating factor between Esther in that moment with Bear, she's really scared, and all of a sudden Moishe falls, and then you see the dynamic between him and Bear and how close they've become, and then we realize, as an audience, wow, they've got a bond that they've already kind of made that we haven't seen yet. How did you kind of choose the different characters along this storyline to put into the concept?
Thank you for like having watched this movie with so much
Oh,
attention, and I really really appreciate that. It was very challenging because it's a short film. So I actually wrote the feature film version. It's been through a few labs, and we're really trying to get it off the ground. But in a short film, it's incredibly challenging because you have about 15 minutes or so, and to explain the whole reason why the Orthodox community is not comfortable with dogs, and then how that community comes around seeing how useful the dog is. And I mean, it was so much to pack in such a short amount of time, which I think was one of the biggest challenges and is one of the many reasons why we're so grateful to Humanitas, also to having to recognize kind of that work of putting very complicated three-dimensional characters within a very specific setting in a very short amount of time. So that's definitely been the challenge. But we really wanted to have my concept at first was I've always thought, okay, what if a guide dog needs to enter the community? And what if the trainer was from a different minority? What I love to write about is what I call culture clash. I love to put people from very different worlds together in very unusual, usually comedic circumstances, and show that we actually have a lot more in common than what the world would want to have us believe. So that's kind of the premise for most of what I write and I direct. And so that's why the character of Jesus, who's, younger and who's queer and who's Latino and who's Catholic and who, like, on the surface has literally nothing to do with the Orthodox community. That's where he comes in. And he's also the descendant of immigrants. He was also raised by his grandmother, who was also known for cooking. So those two men actually have so much in common because they both kind of were raised by these living badass grandmothers, or mothers, grandmothers. And then the other people in the community were, the character of Yehuda, played by Ronald Gutman, who's this phenomenal actor whom I've been very lucky to work with a few times, kind of really represents the very traditional part of the community that might be a little less flexible or less open to things that are different and really voices it. And Sarah represents the ambivalent part, okay, this is not okay, but actually let me see how this could be okay. I understand. And she's also from a younger generation. So I really wanted to have in all those characters kind of the representatives of those pockets of the community. In the future, we obviously have a lot more time and a lot more characters to make this a bigger part. But one of the things that was very important is that it's not black or white, right? Like people don't suddenly turn around, people don't suddenly change their minds. And some people will never be okay with a dog in their community, and some people absolutely will. And from all the research and all the really dozens and dozens of Hasidic guide dog owners I've spoken to, that's kind of been their truth. You know, they're like, yeah, most people will never go and hug the dog or play with the dog the way a secular person would. But most of them completely understand why they're so useful. They just need the time to understand,
Hmm.
which I think is just kind of human nature. And some people will never enter this bakery now that a dog has been in it, but most people will, because also it's the best babka. So, you know.
Well, it's funny too. You've got another character that we don't really see, which is Rabbi Locke, and everyone's always like, "Well, have you told the rabbi yet? Does the rabbi know?" And the old Orthodox community, the rabbi is like, this is the person that you want to appease and make sure they're happy with you. So I do love that even though you weren't able to allow, time for 1,000 individual characters in the short, you were able to kind of make the audience feel like they're still a part of, this storyline with just little additives. And even when you're mentioning Jesus is queer, instead of just telling us, it was very intriguing how you decided to just say, oh, well, Jesus is saying, I can't, I haven't been to church in a long time. I don't feel, as comfortable or as welcome in going into that. But also, it's very educational too with the Orthodox community. So I've modeled for modest companies for a very long time.
Oh,
And
fascinating.
yeah, so I actually have very curly hair. And so a lot of the Orthodox community ends up booking me to put in their catalogs and things like that. But I didn't understand fully, the dynamic of how they may feel with a character like Jesus walking around,
Mhm.
with a character like Moisha. So it was really eye-opening the way you kind of laid that picture out, and also again educational in different ways of not fully knowing the Orthodox, rules and things that they're okay with and not as comfortable with. So, are you planning to potentially make this, as you said, into a longer film?
1,000%.
Okay. He's like, I
Yes,
wanted more at the end, so I was just like, oh,
I mean that to me it's the biggest compliment I could get was, oh man, I wish there was more, you know. It's like one more piece of babka, please. Yeah,
exactly.
we've, you know, the at first the idea really felt like a short, and then it's again it's this research around faith and disability, but also in the guide dog world, we were incredibly lucky to partner with the Seeing Eye, which is the oldest guide dog school in the world. They're based in New Jersey. And so they also consulted on the script, but what they also did is that they lent us a real guide dog who plays Bear. His actual name is Barkley. And they opened their doors to Saul Rubinek and Jonny Beauchamp, who play Moishe and Jesus. And so we visited the campus and really learned how the whole process works. You know, it's 2 years of training before they're matched. I mean, it's an entire world that really helps people who need it in a way that is so incredibly beautiful and much more than just having a guide dog. They have the companionship, it gives them independence back. I mean, it's on so many layers. This is such a phenomenal work that they do and so important. And so a big part of the feature actually does take place in the guide dog school and really follows that training. And one of the things that I thought was particularly fascinating is that so that the when they're matched, it's about 3 weeks of training and they live on campus, and this is all free
Oh, wow.
for the person who's visually impaired. And so they kind of have this class, right, where they have a few people matched with their dogs, and they go through hardships together. They go through this bond. I mean, it's just 3 weeks of such incredible things that happen, but those are people from all walks of life because it's free and because disability doesn't discriminate. And so it's really a place where you will have the most culture clash you can ever see.
Exactly.
So I'm like, hello, I want to write about this.
Well, I do hope that this helps those in the community really feel obligated at this point now to test out a seeing eye dog. I wish I could have put a stamp on Little Bear and said, I've dubbed him kosher. You shall be able to walk him around.
Here's
But
a kosher stamp of approval. I love that. Maybe that's going to be some marketing material.
I do just have time for one last question, and I know that you mentioned this earlier, but you're up for a prize.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that before we go.
Yeah, so that's been such an incredible surprise and really such an honor. And you know, when people say it's an honor just to be nominated, I'm like, it is an honor just to be nominated. So yes, we're one of four short films nominated for Humanitas prizes, which the ceremony is in early September. So it's really you know, a prize that celebrates screenwriters and to see this story, which is in so many ways very, very niche, to be highlighted and to be amongst, you know, people like Jesse Eisenberg and people behind Conclave and the studio and just kind of you know, people I've grown up or admired and that I consider role models and to be in the same room as them and on the same list is genuinely I have no words besides it's an honor. I mean, it's very ironic that as a screenwriter I can't find my words. Yeah, we're really hoping that this, you know, obviously brings visibility to the film and to all the incredible people in front and behind the camera that gave us their time and talent to make it happen, but also to raise awareness around guide dogs and around disability and representation. Again, on both sides of the camera, it can really help, I think, a lot of people to have that visibility through the Humanitas Prizes nomination. So we're very grateful and looking forward to September 7th.
Well deserved, Serena. Congratulations on Babka. I really, really hope to see this in a longer version, but until now, I'll just have to binge it a couple times. And the rap song, by the way, at the end is so good.
By Kosha Dills. Yeah, we, you know, speaking about culture clash, we said we're gonna put rap at the end of a Hasidic movie just to spice things up a little bit more.
All right. Well, take care, Serena. It was great talking with you.
Thank you so much.